Welcome to Across the Park podcast, the only place you can hear banter and debate from both sides of Stanley Park, whether it be blue or red. Sponsored by Their Clothing, Camper Kings UK, and affiliation with Betmate. Hello, welcome back to Across the Park podcast, and welcome to Game On, our second show of the week. This is the show where it's fully Reds versus Blues. We have two game shows where one blue host will ask questions, one red host will ask questions to make it fair, and the winner set of supporters can play Z-Cars or You Never Walk Alone, hopefully in a mixed household. Myself, Ian Mills, and Gary Judge are the Evertonians again this week. Gary Murray and Phil Roberts are the Reds. Big thank you, as you heard on our intro there, to Their Clothing and Camper Kings, our great sponsors. Get over to camperkings.co.uk, have a look at an amazing fleet of camper vans. When you decide which one that you want to take, go to checkout and quote Across the Park podcast. You'll get a free bottle of bubbly, some free insurance as well. Our great sponsors over at Their Clothing as well. Have a look at the catalogue of great men's clothing, and when you pick what you want, quote ATP20 in the checkout for 20% off. Mentioned there that we're going to start some games. The blue host this week will be myself, because last week we only had Phil doing one game and the Blues won, and the Reds have been rioting. There have been riots on the streets in the city centre for the past few weeks, and not over Everton's manager being sacked. It was all over a Reds host against two Blues, so we're going to mix it up. I'm going to do the game this week called Higher or Lower. So anyone new listening or watching, higher or lower is we're going to give a couple of stats over, and the guys have got to guess whether it's higher or lower at the end of it. So the Reds will get the blue questions, and then Judgy can tag in, and then Judgy will get the red questions, and then the Reds can tag in, and let's see who comes out on top. Any volunteers to go first? Judgy as the Blues or Gary and Phil as the Reds? Judgy, okay. So we're going to give Judgy the red questions first of all. The Reds have a chance to come in after it and say if he's right or wrong by giving their views. The theme I've gone for this week was because I've seen that the manager who was sacked from Everton Football Club on Sunday had a win percentage of 32%. So we're going to keep the theme of win percentages with managers. Judgy, let's start with you. Kenny Dalglish, in his second period in charge of Liverpool Football Club, had a win percentage of 47.3%. Is that higher or lower than Roy Evans's win percentage?
Ooh, Roy Evans. So I know for a fact, obviously, that Roy Evans's team were not necessarily challenging for the league. He had a good crop of players, but they weren't up there battling for the championship per se. Likewise, Kenny Dalglish's team must have finished about, was it the season? Finished about 5th or 6th, maybe.
So Roy Evans was 93 to 98, and Dalglish was 11 till 12, 18 months.
Okay, and on the basis of the period of time that Evans was in charge, I'm going to say that Roy Evans was slightly lower.
Okay, so Judgy has gone for Kenny Dalglish's win percentage was higher than Roy Evans's. Gary, Phil, where are you with this?
Are we only talking about Dalglish's spell when he come back?
January 2011 till June 2012.
I'm thinking, Gary, we finished 8th, and under Roy Evans, we were often around 3rd.
Yeah, we all don't. This isn't league only, is it? This is the spell.
This is just a win percentage. Yeah,
he got to 2 cup finals.
I'm leaning towards Roy Evans being higher myself, though.
I'm not.
We weren't good in the league under Dalglish.
I know, but I just think that the period of time is a big factor for me. It's a big factor. To have more than to be a bigger win percentage than 43, 44% over 8 years or whatever it was, that's a big percentage for considering we weren't like one of the best teams in the league.
We were one of the best teams in the league. We just couldn't get over the
Come on.
line.
What are you up with, yous?
Go on. I'll go ahead, Gary.
I'd say Dalglish is higher.
Okay.
It's like an Everton board meeting, that, weren't it?
Oh, yeah. On Zoom at the AGM.
Oh, clueless.
So Kenny Dalglish's second period in charge of Liverpool, win percentage of 47.3. Roy Evans was 51.7.
Wow.
Judgy, Roy Hodgson, the legendary Liverpool manager, Roy Hodgson's win percentage at Liverpool was 41.9%. Was that higher or lower than the managerial duo of Roy Evans and Gerard Houllier?
I just think it's brilliant that that's not far off Kenny Dalglish's as well. And it's so much higher than Benitez's.
I'll tell both of you as well. They're both over half a season as well.
Yeah,
so both these are like 5 or
41%.
6 months.
I feel like you're throwing this in because you expect Hodgson's to be lower, but Houllier and Thompson didn't work out, did they?
Houllier and Evans.
Houllier and Evans.
It's Hodgson though. It's
So
obviously-
Hodgson is 41.93%.
I'm going to say that Houllier and Thompson was slightly higher.
Houllier and Evans.
Yeah, Houllier and Evans, sorry.
Houllier and Thompson were class. Houllier and Evans weren't. Obviously,
Ready
it
to use
resulted
Reds?
in both short periods resulted in the managers going. So it's difficult, but
I obviously remember the Hodgson one a hell of a lot clearer than I remember the other one.
I do. But
And
who's
that
asking
was
the question?
abysmal. I know.
Look who's
That's
asking
what's
the
throwing me.
question.
It might be a double bluff though. He's horrible like that.
Go on.
I'll
Go
go
on,
with
you
you
pick,
this
buddy.
time. I got it wrong last
Okay,
time.
then.
I'll go with you.
I think Hodgson's win rate will be higher.
Okay, so Roy Hodgson was 41.93%. The managerial duo of Roy Evans and Gerard Houllier was 38.89%.
I played Mills, not the question there.
Well played, my friend. Judgy, final Liverpool one for you to take a stab at first. Solely in charge, Gerard Houllier. His win percentage was 52.12%. Is that higher or lower than Rafael Benitez at Liverpool Football Club?
Shorter periods of time, isn't it? Obviously, the European competitions, like Gary said before, will come into it. But Houlier's had a good run in a lot of competitions, didn't he? They won the 4 trophies, wasn't it, that season? including the Charity Shield as well, was it?
5 with the Charity Shield.
Okay. I'm going to go with Houllier. I think Houllier was higher.
I think
Okay.
Houllier was a good manager, but when you're talking about the caliber of Rafa Benitez, I think he was probably a higher percentage. Don't know, Gary, what do you think?
I feel like I
couldn't bring myself to back Benitez in any way, shape, or
Too soon.
I badly want Benitez to be higher. But again, do you want to play the question or do you want to play
Let's play Mills.
the host?
Yeah.
So what are you saying then?
I feel like Houlier's probably higher.
Yeah, go on, I'll go with it.
Houllier 52.12%. Rafael Benitez 56.28.
Wow, it's a good run there.
I don't even. What score are we? I haven't even wrote what score are we.
1-0.
I haven't got any.
1-0 to us.
They got one.
So Judgy should be a little bit better at this as the blue, but the Reds get to stab first as 3 Everton questions. Gary, one of your favourite Everton managers of all time.
Samuel Allardyce.
Sam Allardyce, win percentage as Everton manager is 38.5%.
Allardyce
Is that higher or lower than the win percentage for Marco Silva?
I feel like it'd have to be higher just because of the job that he's done.
I'll back that.
He came in to do a job, got used up, I think, to just finish 8th that season from being down like 18th, 17th or something. And Marco Silva ended up sacked. So on that basis, I'm going Allardyce would be higher.
Judgy?
Done a good job.
Silva picked up some points early on. He obviously had a bad run, but he had a bit of a purple patch. Benitez, for similar person, to be honest. Alazai sort of ended up getting us to that position. We didn't have that many points. We didn't amass a great deal of points. So I'm going to go with Silva marginally.
It's the equaliser. Marco Silva was 40% compared to Sam Allardyce's 38.5%. So we're at 1-1 now. Judges clawed it back. Can he go in the lead, or can the Reds maintain their good form early doors? Excuse me. David Moyes' win percentage with Everton was 42.1%. Is that higher or lower than Joe Royals?
I don't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what Everton were like in the early 90s.
Okay, so in context, David Moyes was 2002 to 2013. Joe Royal 1994 to 1997.
I remember Everton being decent then, like in derbies and all that. Obviously, they won something. I'm going to go with Royal.
The last time they won anything, won it 1995, so it probably is a decent win percentage compared to anyone else.
Yeah.
So you go with Joe Royal, okay, Judgy?
95-96 was one of the best seasons I've seen. Joe Royal was the manager. We must have got, I think we got about 59, 60 points that season. Obviously, we won the FA Cup, so that's a decent cup run alone. A few victories in there. Definitely Joe Royal for me.
Okay. It's a stalemate. David Moyes was 42.1%, Joe Royal 39.8%.
Wow.
Small margins, but Moyes had the better record. So this one,
would you?
this one, well, it's a perfect segue into this manager actually. So Roberto Martinez's win percentage at Everton Football Club was 42.7%. Is that higher or lower than Ronald Koeman's?
Oh,
Going to be close, I'd have thought, that one.
Yeah, I'd go with Martinez though.
I would. I feel Martinez on that one.
Martinez higher.
Okay, Judgy?
I think Koeman, shorter period of time, he had that really bad run, obviously, when we had that transfer window, but even though he has a horrible attitude and he's a grim person in general.
And a red Christmas tree.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Koeman. I think Koeman just about.
Okay, the final result in a week that Agent Rafa left Everton Football Club is that the Reds can play You Never Walk Alone. Because the result, so Martinez was 42.7%, Ronald Koeman was 41.4%. There's time to pull it back later on because we've got another game that Phil's going to be the host of. We're going to press the button now. Judge, we're going to go way back in time, way back to January. I'm going to make you feel old here. 2003, 19 years ago. Game at White Hart Lane where Brian McBride scored, where Espen Bardson played in goal for Everton, but Leon Osman made his debut for Everton Football Club. The rest of that season, he went out on loan to Carlisle. The following season, he went on loan to Derby before really cementing his place as, for me, one of the best players I've seen play for Everton. Can you remember Osman coming through? Can you remember his first few games? Go back in time. Where are you?
I remember him coming back from his loan spell at Derby where he picked up a few goals, and we went to watch Everton away at Wolves, and he got on the score sheet that day.
Yeah.
It was like a typical David Moyes goal. I think it came the ball broke off a long throw or something like that, and he kind of. Again, I haven't gone back and watched that goal, but I remember
he was at the near post, typical Osman near post, and just flicked it in.
Decent little finish. But yeah, you know what? You're obviously saying he's for you. He was one of the best players you've seen play for us and whatever. I think he was very, very underappreciated and massively underrated. You look back at a lot of the good goals we scored under David Moyes, and he was known at the heart of it. Whether he was scoring it or he was creating it, or he was one of those. I know we had this conversation a few years ago on the podcast about the pre-assist. He was a massive pre-assister where he was always involved in the move, not necessarily always playing that killer pass, but always kind of opening up defences. Great at getting in between the lines. Proper grafter. Someone who, for his size, he didn't have much physique about him. He wasn't particularly quick, wasn't particularly strong, but he dealt with the physicalities of the game. And playing in David Moyes' team, you always had to be able to do that. You always had to be able to mix it and get stuck in. And to play as many games as he did under David Moyes is a credit. Very versatile. Towards the end of his career, he played a little bit deeper. Got, I think, a couple of caps for England playing in that role. Very, very good player, but what a saving for the club, and scored some vitally important goals, and just really composed, and always someone you could rely on to put his foot on the ball. Phil spoke before about Curtis Jones, about how good he is combined with players, but he can also go past them. Leon Osman was like that. He wasn't again, blessed with terrific pace, but he has a really good first touch where he'd just take players out the game with that first touch, break lines with that first touch. Brilliant to combine with players, though. The goal he scored in the Europa League.
Larissa.
Oh, what a goal that is! Any fan who wants to see a really good footballing goal, just get on YouTube and look up Leon Osman versus Larissa. It's a volley, isn't it? Unbelievable, brilliant goal.
Against who?
Larissa in the Europa League. Greek team, aren't they? Greek.
All right.
I must say they're a Greek side.
By the way, Gary, we did win before you start digging, trying to dig us out. We did beat Larissa.
Oh no!
Judge's right in what he's saying. It was a great goal. Do you remember the goal against Man City with his left foot at the park end, top bin?
Yeah. Lashed at that one a little bit, didn't he? But yeah, it was a good finish as well. But yeah,
he was just a good footballer. Just a really good footballer.
Good in the air, like you said before. He was, for his size as well, he had some leap on him, and he really timed his run so well, didn't he? That's how he got on the end of so many things, whether it was arriving to score from a rebound or getting on the end of things. He was really good at that knack of arriving the right time in the box. Very underappreciated player for me.
He was. Me and Judge, you spoke on Monday. If you want to go back and watch Monday's show, we spoke about the state of our club, really. And if you go back to 2016, when Osman was released, the story goes that he found out because one of his family or friends texted him and said it's on the Everton website, and that just goes back, doesn't it, to how this club's been run, and what a horrible way for someone like Leon Osman to find out, because he was only 33, I think, at the time, and there was rumours that I think Alan Stubbs was Rotherham manager at that time. I think it was Rotherham, and he tried to get Osman to carry on, but they couldn't sort something out. So he ended up retiring at 33, 34. I think
the whole exit from Everton proper soured it for him. I think he was he lost love for the game. It was like he'd only ever see himself seeing his years out at Everton and whatever. And I think as we either give him another contract or as we give him advance notice that we were releasing him and he has a chance to kind of say goodbye, he may have gone on and played another season somewhere else. He certainly would have been fit enough. He was always in good shape. Never one of them players who kind of piled on the weight or nothing, was he? And he didn't have many injuries either. He had early on in his career, he was plagued. It took him a while to kind of break through as youngsters, didn't it? But he was late coming on the scene. He must have been 23 minutes when he made his debut.
Yeah, he had a very bad injury, didn't he? I think it might have been his cruciate or some sort of leg break or something, and it took him a really long time to get back from it. And that meant at age 20 and 21, when he'd seen Tony Hibbert break through and Kevin McLeod break through and Wayne Rooney break through, he was down the pecking order, being loaned out in his early 20s. So he broke through at Everton around 22, 23, you're right.
But yeah, great player, and will forever be remembered by Everton fans as just someone you could always rely on, and proper Evertonian.
One of us, and just to end the Leon Osman section, Judge, we can't not talk about Leon Osman. You know where I'm going with this. So when we first started the podcast, none of us are that tech savvy, but Judge is probably one of the better ones of the six. So we have this little recording device that we take on the road. We used it to record with the legendary Colin Harvey, amongst others. So one of our friends, Paul Cronin, who does the Everton night, he invited myself and Judge down to a night with Leon Osman, on the basis that if we helped Paul promote his night, that we could have 20 minutes with Leon Osman at the end of the night to do a little podcast. Me and Judgy rock down there. We don't even have a beer because we're trying to remain professional, and we sit through a great night with Leon Osman, and then Leon finds us and says, let's do 20 minutes after the show. He's great with us. He actually gave me and Judgy a beer. Actually, he bought us a pint, and he's such a top lad. So we sit down, we explain who we are, we explain we're a podcast for Blues and Reds, but we're the Blues, so let's ask some quick fire questions. He had me and Judgy laughing our heads off. He leaves the room, Me and Judgy are high-fiving, thinking we've got fantastic content. But what didn't you do, Judgy?
Didn't press record.
Didn't press record. So that is like lost in the abyss. Me and Judgy have searched SD cards. He was adamant that it might be on this SD card. We had about 5 SD cards with a million folders in. But that was when we got back that night. We did laugh in the end. I mean, if Leon is watching or listening, we'd love to get you back on and try and do that.
We tried to get you on via like Lee Carsley and everyone, but no one can get hold of you. I might try through Stephen Warnock. Actually, I think they work together now, so we might get him back someday. And when we do, we'll tell him that story.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the Reds, Gary. I know you were saying before that your This Week in History goes back to January 2005, where a certain, what seemed to be, could it be said, world-class striker signed for Liverpool. It didn't quite happen. What's the story behind that in This Week in History?
Yeah, well, that's it. We signed him from Real Madrid for 6.3 million. And you know what? When he comes in, you're thinking this is going to take us to the next level that we need to go to. You know, he's won 3 European Cups with Real Madrid. He finished. I think he was the runner-up with Monaco the season before we signed him in the Champions League. He's got. There's some of the goals you've seen him score for Real Madrid, the record he had goal-wise for them, and you're just thinking he's going to come in, hit the ground running for Liverpool and be an absolute whale beater. Unfortunately, it just didn't turn out that way. It took him quite a while to get his first goal. I think, if I'm right, it was Charlton.
That was a good goal.
It was a whale.
Inside, proper good goal.
And it was his left foot into the far top corner. I remember it. I think it was a wonderful goal. And you're thinking then, you know, the little glimpse of the Morientes, you know, we think we're signing. Is he and can he kick on and be the player we need him to be? But for one reason or another, it just didn't work out for him at Liverpool.
Can you remember being excited by the signing?
Yeah, because it wasn't really for me. I don't know if it was in the media or anything, but for me, it come out of nowhere. It was just like Liverpool are signing Fernando Morientes, and it was there, it was done, and it was like, wow, he's some player. You know what? I didn't really see a lot of him, but what you had seen, you know, with you know, I was only young when he was really smashed it at Real Madrid, but what you did see of him, what you had heard of him, he's an absolute whale beater, and you're just thinking he's going to score some goals for Liverpool. And as I say, unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Yeah, this was the days when Liverpool seemed to sign 5 or 6 players every window. Do you remember that? Like, or at least 3 or 4 every single window, but you'd hardly heard of them, or they were no one significant. And I was always desperate for us to do more of what we do now, where we sign fewer players, but they're much better. And we hadn't signed anyone of that sort of calibre back for a long time, I don't think. And we had Milan Barros and Djibril Cissé in. And I remember Gerrard said when Morientes come in that the club are absolutely not taking a gamble with Morientes. He's proven quality. But at the same time, he was starting to get on. And he came to us because Ronaldo joining Real Madrid had left him a 4th choice at that club. So he's come to us. And for me, the main thing was he was plagued with injury, and perhaps the Premier League was a little bit too quick for him as well. So he could never get a rhythm, and he could never really cement his place in the team. But I do remember flashes and touches and a few goals.
Yeah, you definitely had some moments which, you know, you don't lose that as good a player as he is, and he was. You don't lose them moments, but we just needed him to do it consistently, and it just never worked. You know, I think he only lasted, was it 18 months he lasted? Did he leave the end of the following season? But he went Valencia. He went back to Valencia and was smashing it again. Found his touch again, and was really good in La Liga. So I think he go on to won the Copa del Rey.
I think if he would have got as I say, he'd never found a rhythm at Liverpool. He didn't play consistently enough. And when you're coming in off from injury and all that, and it's a new league, it was too quick for him, too physical. And so he could never get into the team. But if he would have had a run and he could have adapted, that's what he didn't do. He didn't adapt. And if he could have done, I think we would have seen a good player. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So
that was This Week in History for both sides. Anyone who's seen the start of the show knows that the score on the games is currently 1-0 Liverpool. Judgy, we have a chance to do a Jagielka at the cop here, make it 1-1, put their cars on, and just act all made up. Phil, you're the quizmaster for this one. What have you got for us?
So a little bit rushed before the show for this one. So I've got 2 statements for each side, true or false. But not only that, you've got to tell me why, or you don't get the point. Terry got a point last week for saying something was false, which it was, but he didn't know why. And it wasn't right. So this week I need to know why. So I'll start with the 2 blue questions, which I'll give to the Blues. Gary, you don't have a chance to come in. They get their 2 questions, and then I'll come to you. So Everton, statement 1, true or false? During the 2009-10 season, Everton beat United 3-1 after a thunderbolt from Billy Letanov, which was then overshadowed by a famous solo effort from Pienaar. True or false?
False. The solo effort was Jack Rodwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. You can't catch the Blues out on this. You know, any bit of success you've had here at
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this, me.
Actually, I'm going to come to you now, Gary. We'll go back and forth.
Terrible with memories, me.
On the 26th of July, 1977, so your memories.
Some memory, this.
Liverpool's famous number 10, Kevin Keegan, left the club to join Hamburg. True or false?
I'll go. I feel like it wasn't Hamburg, but I don't know who the club was.
You've got to give that because Phil wants reasons.
That's what I mean. I feel like it wasn't Hamburg, but I don't know the.
So
club
you're going to say false because it wasn't Hamburg?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, false is correct, but he wasn't a Liverpool famous number 10. He was a very famous number 7.
Ooh.
Oh, freaking hell, yeah.
You can picture that now. It's all in the wording.
That's horrible, that. That's horrible.
Listen.
That's class.
Okay, Blues, 1-0 up. In 2016, David Unsworth went on to have a furious rant after Kevin De Bruyne converted a Raheem Sterling cross that was clearly out of play and thus prevented Everton from reaching the Capital One Cup final after a 3-2 defeat in the semi.
David Unsworth? David Unsworth wasn't...
2016.
It's false. Roberto Martinez was the manager.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct. 2 out of 2 for the Blues. Okay, Gary. In 2001, UEFA Cup, you've got to get this. In 2001 UEFA Cup semi-final, Liverpool beat Barcelona 1-0 over 2 legs, with Steven Gerrard converting the only goal of the game from the penalty spot.
False. It was Gary Mack.
Correct. Mind you, that's 2-1, isn't it?
Yeah,
2-1 win for the mighty Blues. So, Judgy, we'll take 1-1, won't we?
Yeah,
overall,
yeah,
always.
100%, yeah.
Don't be
Tell you what, I needed that. After 4 shows this week. So Gary done instant match reaction, myself and Judgy done the instant match. The instant reaction to the manager leave, and a show on Monday where me and Judgy just tore the club a new one. Finally, I can play Spirit of the Blues on Thursday night and just feel a lot better about things. Thank you for joining us. I think Judgy's going to end with a little bit of. We've got the betmate stuff, Judgy, going into the week ahead.
Yeah, so what I said I'd do, or what I share with you is my team for this week, and you'll see some things flashing up here. So I'll hold it there. So this is my team as it stands. If there's any injuries, right up until 5 minutes before kickoff, you can change it. So as you can see at the top there, our game this week closes. You can also see my battery's very low, by the way. So we need to our game closes this week at 12:25. So don't get caught out because we're the early kickoff on Saturday. So it's a combination of the players from the Everton game and the players from the Liverpool game this weekend. So I've gone for Jack Butland. I think he'll be a busy man at the weekend, but I also think that Palace is solid enough to not concede too many goals against Liverpool this weekend. So I'm expecting Butland to make a few saves there. I've gone with Trent Alexander-Arnold at the back. Again, obviously heavily involved. Mikolenko, I'm hoping that we'll be on the front foot and little Ukrainian will get on the end of something this weekend, whether it's an assist. and I'm fairly certain he'll be flying into tackles as well. I've gone with Gary's trusty Fabinho as my captain this weekend, and I'm sure a lot of people will be following suit as well. Again, very industrious midfielder, as we all know, involved in a lot of tackles. Conor Gallagher. So for vice captain, you get 1.5, a multiple of 1.5. So you get an extra half on top of the points that player gets for you, and you get double your points for the captain. So I've gone for Conor Gallagher. I think them two will be at war in that particular game. Both players that up and down the pitch, but Gallagher in particular has got a chance of scoring. I've gone for the two number 9s for the respective forward line. So I've gone for Firmino for Liverpool and Calvert-Lewin for Everton. Really hoping that Calvert-Lewin's back on the score sheet. I suspect he'll still be the penalty taker despite his missed the other week. And again, I'm expecting Firmino to potentially be involved if Liverpool do score at the weekend.
What does a yellow card do, Gary?
You lose a point for the yellow card.
Ooh. Two midfielders, they're two midfielders that could get yellow.
Only 1 point though, so you lose 1 point for the yellow card. You get 1 point for the tackle. So I think there'll be more tackles than there will be yellow cards.
Yeah.
So that's my team. Each week we'll have a go of sharing our respective teams. So I've give my game away. If someone wants to copy me, that at least
just before kick-off, Danny Ings and Philip Coutinho will be added to that.
They're getting thrown in last week. But yeah, best of luck anyone who does have a game. If you're new to BetMate, you can play a free game. They always have a free game offer for any. So if you're not really a fan of laying any money out on football, which is absolutely fine, jump on their app anyway. Have a little go with the free game. It's a little free pump for you anyway.
Great, and it's over on the App Store or the Play Store. So get the BetMate app and join our league today, Judge. You said from myself, Ian Mills, and Gary Judge, from Gary Murray and Phil Roberts. Thank you so much for joining us again on Game On. We are back on Monday to review the games, which could see Liverpool at Wembley and could see Everton in a much, much better position. We're hoping for one or the other, maybe not both. Let's see where we are on Monday. Thank you so much for joining us again. See you on Monday.